Namaskar and a very good evening to all the viewers watching NCERT's live and interactive program. I am Shivani Jha and you have all connected with us through PM Vidya channel number 6, 9 and 12. Besides this, you can also connect with us on our official YouTube handles that goes by the name NCERT Official and NCERT PM Vidya Class 6, 9 and 12. Well, let me apprise you all, this is our special session on school leadership development for Viksit Bharat at 2047. And आज जो हम टॉपिक आप सभी के लिए लेकर आए हैं काफ़ी खास है और जैसा कि आप सभी व्यूअर्स जानते हैं हर फ्राइडे हम नीपा का ये प्रोग्राम काफ़ी स्पेशल होता है स्कूल लीडरशिप डेवलपमेंट के ऊपर, तो वो आप सभी के लिए न्यू टॉपिक्स को लेकर आते हैं. वेल, द टॉपिक दैट वी हैव टेकन अप टुडे is leadership and well-being in the context of school education. And yes, to delve deeper into this entire topic, we are also joined by our esteemed experts. So let's welcome them first. Firstly, we are joined by our faculty, Dr. Shadma Absar. Ma'am is Assistant Professor at NCSL NIEPA. Ma'am, namaskar and welcome to our session.
Namaskar. Thank you.
Along with Shadma ma'am, we are also joined by our another faculty, Dr. Tripti Singh. Ma'am is Assistant Professor at NCSL NIEPA. Ma'am, namaskar.
Thank you, Shivani. Thank you so much.
And yes, dear viewers, if you have any queries or doubt or any feedback regarding our today's program or particular NIEPA session, then you can also contact us via phone or our email ID. Our phone number is flashing on your screen, which is 8800440559, and our email ID is dth.class12@cit.nic.in. And as you all know, this session of ours is live and interactive, so you can also drop your comments, your queries or your feedbacks in the live chat box option of our YouTube channel. And now we are moving forward to our topic, and firstly I would like to ask Shadma ma'am, ma'am, please share about the theme of the session today and what are we going to talk about.
Thank you, Shivani. A very good evening to all the school heads who are watching this program. All of you are aware that NCSL brings this program every week, and we bring school heads every week from different states of the country, but sometimes we do these thematic sessions. So today is one of those thematic sessions that we are going to do, and it is about leadership and well-being in the context of school education. So today we are going to deal with leadership and well-being and see how they gel together and how do they improve schools. So this is our topic for today.
Okay, so now I would like both of you ma'am to move ahead with our topic.
Yes.
Okay.
So before we begin our discussion, so let us deliberate upon what is leadership. So I would request, yes, what is leadership? If we have to define leadership, leadership has been defined by various researchers, authors, leaders over the years, and one of the most promising definitions that we have in the context of school education is given by Leithwood et al. In 2004, which says that leadership consists of two functions, which is providing directions and exercising influence. It is majorly about exercising influence. So leadership is more of exercising influence. Other functions of leadership include setting direction, developing people, developing organization, designing the instructional programs. So leadership, why are we looking into it? The very important part here it is that leadership is one of the most crucial factors that influence student learning. Various researchers have over the years identified that school leadership is the second most important factor that influence student learning. So leadership is important when we talk about school education. When we talk about schooling, leadership plays a very pivotal and crucial role in improving schools and improving student learning outcomes. So now we have understood that what is leadership, so we will move on to what is well-being now.
Yes, as Dr. Shadma rightly suggested and told us about leadership, see, we are dealing in National Center for School Leadership. So it's a center which works for school leadership. And talking about well-being in terms of leadership is a different and a unique concept. Leadership generally focuses on so many different aspects, and looking at the well-being, as Dr. Shadma rightly told us about leadership, well-being is basically, in a layman's term, Shivani, how we are feeling. Are we happy? Are we upset? How are we feeling in our everyday, day-to-day life? It is actually feeling happy, healthy, feeling good about something, or feeling happy and content. Are we socially connected with people? Are we socially, financially, spiritually, physically, mentally well off? So that's all well-being as a term encompasses around. It is very broad. It is actually very broad in a true sense. So it is not a narrow concept. It is actually a very broad concept having very varied notions. And according to a research study by National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences, NIEMHANS, which we rightly call it as, roughly approximately around 23% of students, school students in India, they are being found to be basically dealing with mental health problems in the contemporary scenario, even after the COVID situation. So, as rightly said, that well-being is a very broad concept, and mental health is a state of well-being in which an individual realizes his or her own abilities and can cope up with the normal stresses of life. It is how a person can productively work and is able to make contribution to his or her community. It is by WHO. WHO, World Health Organization, also states in its 2021 definition that it is a source for daily life and is determined by social, economic and environmental conditions. I repeat, they are taking into account three parameters: social, economic and environmental conditions in which a person or an individual survives, and it encompasses the quality of life in a way that the ability of people and the ability of individual, be it a teacher or be it student, be it a school leader, be it any stakeholder in the field of education or any field, any varied fields in India, it refers to the contribution with a sense of meaning and a purpose. That's what a well-being is. Well-being आम भाषा में अगर हम बोलें कि क्या हम खुश हैं, क्या हम मानसिक रूप से, शारीरिक रूप से हर तरह से स्वस्थ हैं, are we happy and prosper? So that is what well-being states, and there are different types of well-being. I request to the next slide. Yes, thank you. There are different types of well-being. Well-being are actually varied in categories like physical well-being, social well-being, emotional well-being, workplace well-being, financial well-being, spiritual well-being and mental well-being, which we also call it as psychological well-being. So being physically fit, we might seem physically fit, we might seem to be physically well off, but the situation might not be true. In a real sense, it might not be true. So it is very deep driven concept and has different notions. When we talk about social well-being, it is basically dealing with the community engagements, how we are basically involving in the community, how we are basically dealing with the communities around. Are we able to build relationships in the society?
True.
Right. Then working towards your financial well-being, are we financially well off? Having true money in a true sense, having a livelihood to earn, having something to earn, that is what we call it as a financial well-being. Having something in pockets, having our money in hand, that is, are we financially well off? Then if we are talking about mental well-being, that's the ability to be psychologically well off. Emotional well-being, it's the ability to practice your stress management, your building of resilience, coping up with the stress in everyday life, how you're dealing with your emotions, how you're having a positive impact in the development of positive emotions amongst ourselves. That is what emotional well-being in a day-to-day definition basically means. And if we are talking about workplace well-being, so workplace well-being is not a very novel concept, because it is we all are actually dealing with workplace well-being, stress or depression or any sort of discontentment in our workplace, or vice versa is also true. We are very happy, we are very peaceful, we are very satisfied at our workplace. It can be both ways. So to pursue our own interest, values and life purpose in order to gain meaning, happiness and enrichment professionally. That is what the professional or the workplace well-being basically talks about. So that's what we are trying to say, that there are different types of well-being, and it's a very developing concept, and WHO, World Health Organization, has also focused on whole school approach of introduction of happiness and well-being in the classrooms to school change and to promote mental health awareness among students and among all the stakeholders. So it is like, how can we build mental health awareness, or how can we make our classes more well off?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think well-being is a very subjective concept, I
Right,
think. And there are
right.
multiple definitions
Right.
that exist. This was just a generic framework that we talked about.
Right.
Not one size will fit all.
Yes.
And it will differ from person to person and from context and setting.
Yes.
It will be, for my well-being parameters would be different than yours and than
Right,
anybody else's. And in a different setting or a geographical area, parameters of well-being do differ. So well-being for me and well-being for the other person might differ. So now when we have understood the concept of leadership and the concept of well-being in the school education,
Right.
we will now move ahead and see how leadership and well-being exist in the context of school education. So today we are going to look at majorly these three things. There can be many other things that can be looked at, but today we are going to focus on these areas only.
Right.
So well-being of one's own self as a school leader. As a school leader, how can one promote one's own health, one's own well-being, promoting well-being of stakeholders, individual, including teachers and students, creating a culture of well-being. So these three things we are going to discuss today. So let us begin with the first, well-being of school leaders. So well-being of school leaders, there is a model that is given by Green in 2024, and she says that a very important concept that a school leader has to be looking into it is self-awareness. So self-awareness is a very generic term. When we say self-awareness, it's like
Right.
being aware of one's own self. So there she kinds of elaborate that it encompasses 7 individual selves. Within that self-awareness, there are 7 subsets that are there that one has to focus upon. So the first one could be self-worth. A school leader must realize that he's worthy enough of being respected, of being, listened to, and he's worthy enough for this job. He's worthy enough for this role.
Right.
He's worthy enough for carrying out all these responsibilities. The other self is self-acceptance. One has to accept oneself first before we expect others to accept us. We
Right.
must accept our limitations, our faults and our shortcomings. That's very important. We must also accept our strengths and we must also accept our weaknesses. So then coming on to self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is like having this belief or having this confidence that I will be able to do this task on my own. Some of the things that has to be done, a leader must have this self-efficacy within them. And self-care, a leader must take care of his health, his physical, mental, emotional well-being. That is also very important. He or she must take good care of his self. He must rest, he or she must rest, must sleep, must eat properly. So that comes under self-care. Self-compassion, a leader should not be very harsh on oneself. He has to be compassionate towards his own self as well. So that is self-compassion. And self-development is about, giving oneself opportunities of developing professionally,
Right.
personally as well as professionally. So in order to have understanding of, the latest developments in the field, in the area, one must develop oneself as a professional leader. So these are few things that Green has identified, which talks about 7 selves that are part of self-awareness.
True.
So next we move on to, the first was self-awareness. The second is the leader must be able to regulate his or her emotions. He must be emotionally intelligent, must be able to show emotional resilience, and must be able to show or reflect or think, kind of display his emotions at the right time, in the right amount. He cannot be very carefree as well. Emotional intelligence is very much required. Now resilience, like we see in the times of pandemic, a lot of our school heads showed a lot of resilience. The system had to bounce back. We have even uploaded quite a few case studies, around 50 case studies on our portal, school NCSL website, wherein we have uploaded the best practices that were taken during the COVID pandemic, and they are very exemplary in the sense that they show that what kind of resilience school leaders had shown during that time. Fourth one is maintaining their energy levels. So one has to eat well, sleep on time, take care of one's own health, must rest, must have proper nutritional diet, and must do yoga for maintaining stress levels, must be able to channelize the stress. That is also very important, maintaining energy levels. The fifth point that we can also talk about is having positive belief system.
Yes.
It is said that one has to believe, one has to believe. The way we believe, the way things turn out, so one should have a positive belief system. So as a school leader, one has to have all these things to develop oneself. So the first component of our presentation today was about prioritizing well-being as an individual by a school leader.
By a school leader, yes.
Because a school leader is responsible, is a very crucial element in the school, wherein he has responsibility of well-being of teachers as well as students. A few research studies around 2009, I suppose, Robinson et al., he proposed that school leadership can exercise influence on students' learning outcomes or student learning in 2 ways. One of the way he talked about is like directly influencing the student learning outcome, wherein the school leader influences the students directly by meeting them, by teaching them, by role modeling or many other behaviors. The other dimension that he gave was the indirect influence, wherein the school leader influences the teachers, and then teachers in turn influence the
School leader.
Students
As well as, yes.
So this was a direct as well as indirect, either through teachers or directly. So the school leader can influence learning outcomes or the student well-being either directly or indirectly through teachers.
Right.
So this is the framework that we rely upon. So today we are talking about it through teachers as well and through directly as well. So coming to teachers, why do you think a teacher's well-being is important? Teacher's well-being is very important because a school head cannot work alone. He needs a team, and he needs warriors to go to the classroom and deal with the children that are there. So teacher well-being matters because teachers matter for us. Without the teachers, school head will not be able to lead the school alone.
Yes.
Personal well-being of a teacher will impact his or her professional well-being. So a school leader has to kind of look into it, that personal well-being of teachers is also kind of he has good personal well-being at home, his nutrition, his diet, so that his professional well-being is well reflected in the classrooms. He is able to professionally deliver what he wants to in the classroom and during the other school processes as well. The third important point is enhancing collective well-being. When each teacher or each individual or each team member in the school focuses on his or her own well-being as an individual, there comes the concept of collective efficacy. And then it enhances the collective well-being of the system, wherein the teachers along with the school head or among themselves as well can support each other, they can collaborate, they can work together, they can help each other in a positive way, they can have better stress management strategies. So this is how collective efficacy of the system can be maintained. And what will be the impact of all these? High workplace well-being will lead to positive school cultures, which will in turn lead to student well-being and ultimately will impact student learning outcomes.
Definitely.
Like
definitely.
National Education Policy 2020 stresses a lot on developing positive school culture for the holistic development of the children. So it stresses and it outlines very clearly that a school head as a school leader has a very crucial and a very important role in developing positive school culture in the school. So he or she plays a very pivotal role here. So there are many researchers that say that well-being can be divided into 3 factors, wherein it is the individual well-being, the workplace well-being, or well-being to the society. There are quite a few researchers which have reiterated that it is important to investigate factors associated with teachers' well-being and develop its deeper understanding, not only for teachers but also for school leaders, students and school, as it has direct linkages to the quality of education. One potential avenue for advancing knowledge of well-being is to assess teachers' work-related experiences. What experiences do they have at their workplace?
Right, right.
So that will help us, in streamlining and understanding that what is teacher well-being. Like I said, there are differences. There are multiple definitions of well-being. Well-being differs from person to person, context to context. So every context will have its own, kind of some milieu wherein well-being can be studied. So these are a few researches that we have looked into it. Now we'll talk about student well-being.
Thank you, Dr. Shadma. Talking about student well-being. So before that, I would like to pay attention towards what NEP basically talks about student well-being. NEP generally focuses, and the directives of mental health directives of NEP highlights the crucial necessity to integrate students' overall well-being into educational policy. How a student well-being, it should be integrated in our day-to-day educational classroom practices, and it should be inculcated in our educational policies as well. NEP 2020's directive principles basically deals in essential steps, how you are creating a classroom setting, how a teacher or a school leader is creating a conducive environment which is child-centric, which is learner-friendly, which is student-centric, and how a child is getting benefits out of those classroom practices, how these benefits are reaching to the student, to विद्यालय में एक बच्चे तक, एक विद्यार्थी तक कैसे वो डायरेक्टिव्स और वो मदद पहुंचाई जाए. So these are the classroom settings which are being created in such a way that it directly helps, it directly benefits the beneficiaries in the real life situations. And how we can do that? There are different modalities, different strategies, different ways how we can basically achieve student well-being. Student well-being is, as our topic generally talks about today, teacher well-being, student well-being and school leaders well-being, and the role of amalgamation of all three together to talk about leadership and well-being in the context of school education.
Yes, before I think we move towards the strategies,
Right.
a very few important pointers I would like to highlight.
Right.
Where can we look for well-being actually in the school context?
Right.
So as a school leader or as a teacher, we can look for well-being in how we go through our to-do list every day.
Right.
What kind of planning do we have? How do we collaborate? How do we function as a team? How do we contribute to the school vision? How do we engage with the change and are committed towards our work? And how do we deal with our emotions? These are few things that are very important, and well-being resides within them. So well-being not only means how we feel rather, but it includes how we work, how we team up, and how we lead actually in the context of school leaders. So well-being, I would like to say, is influenced by every action, every conversation, and every decision that a school leader makes.
Right.
So that has a great impact on the student well-being as well as on the teacher well-being. So this was something very important that came across in my mind, and said well-being can be looked at in various processes. So every action that a school leader takes, every conversation that a school leader does, with the children, with the teachers, has an impact on the well-being. Like एक example मुझे याद आ रहा है, Dr. Tripti. We have a school head from Gujarat, and he is from Nava Nadi sir, and he is Rakesh Patel ji, and his school is a very very peculiar space, I would say. He named the school as Masti Ki Pathshala.
Masti Ki Pathshala, yes.
So this Masti Ki Pathshala is very peculiar in the sense wherein well-being of all individuals is looked into, and he has taken a lot of initiatives with the help of children and teachers, of course, and he has made his school a Masti Ki Pathshala, wherein the teachers are happy, the students are happy, and they are reading, they are learning, they are engaging in different things. So I think that is a very good example of how a school leader can influence the well-being of teachers as well as students.
I would like to add on, Dr. Shadma, over here, like in a true sense, this example which you gave, it is actually an example of NEP 2020, which it actually says to do. All the school leaders should be like this one. How innovative and inclusive teaching pedagogies are inculcated in your schools.
His entire focus is on well-being only. When I've discussed with him, I see that he is more of a person wherein he will look that every child is happy, every child is able to contribute, every child is able to express himself or herself. Every child has freedom to speak. They have ability to convey their emotions, they have the ability to express themselves in the larger framework of people. They do what do we call as there are melas that are organized in the village. They do participate with a lot of confidence there.
Yes.
So this is one of the examples. There are many examples like that. It is not just only the example. This is not the only example we have. We have a lot of such examples. So this is for like how a school leader can influence teachers as well as students. So let's move on to the strategies.
Move on to the strategies which I was just talking about, we have to build in the self-confidence again in the students. We have to boost up the ecological balance also, economic sensitivity towards our students, and a lifelong learning mindset should be developed in our students. That's what NEP 2020 also talks about, how you are going to engage in creative and mindfulness activities in the students and the school context. That's what NEP also basically focuses upon.
Yes. So now we come to the strategies that a school leader has to adopt in promoting the well-being. So a very important task that a school leader has to perform is setting the direction. A school leader is responsible for setting the direction of the school. He has to lead, he has to take the first step, he has to set the direction. And then developing a shared vision with all his stakeholders. He has to have shared involvement of teachers, students in developing the vision of the school, what the school should be, how should it go about, how should they go about in developing a vision, and how it has to be done. When you develop a vision, there are a lot of decisions that have to be taken into consideration, that on a day-to-day basis there are a lot of decisions that have to be taken. Or a school head conducts a lot of meetings that are in his office, in the classrooms, so that schooling processes are carried out smoothly. So a very important factor is participative decision making. If school head involves teachers, students in the decision making processes, that enhances their well-being. That they will consider themselves as a party to the decision, and the decisions or the whatever initiatives a school head wants to take, they will be able to take it further in a confident way. So participative decision making is very, very important, and school heads also take that into consideration, that sometimes they select only few teachers and take decisions, but it would be good if they involve all teachers and of course a few student representatives as well. So that is a very important role that a school leader has. Now a few leadership practices, that there are many leadership practices rather. These are very, very few ones which are there on the slide today, which a school leader has to carry out so that he or she can influence the learning outcomes, the well-being of teachers as well as student well-being. A school leader has to role model, whatever he or she expects from the teachers as well as students, he himself has to role model that first. That is important. Like if we talk about punctuality, if a school leader is on time, the teachers and the students will be on time eventually. They will role model. And mentoring is another very important practice that a school leader has to practice in his daily practices. He or she has to mentor the teachers, mentor the students in their various tasks, in their various processes. A school leader has to provide support to the teachers in various matters, support in terms of providing them infrastructure, providing them facilities in the school, providing them access to various resources, both teachers as well as students. So a school leader's responsibility is to provide them support and access to various resources, whatever is required by them, and whatever is tangible and whatever he or she can procure. Individual consideration. At times we have different individuals in a team, and at times we have to step into that person's shoes and see what the other person is going through. So one has to consider at times the individual consideration is very important, but not always, of course. One has to consider them individually. A school leader has to show fairness in his practices. He has to be he or she has to be fair in his or her practice.
Unbiased.
Unbiased, yes. Totally. So if they see that a school leader, if teachers see or the students see that a school head is fair, this value gets integrated in their own
selves.
Yes. Right. The teachers will also be fair in their practices, and students will also develop this competency or this practice of dealing things with fairness. In the attitude. Right. Empathy is also very important. One has to be very empathetic as a school leader.
Right.
And professional development, if we talk about, not only for one's own self, a school leader has to, provide opportunities, provide spaces, provide multiple platforms to the teachers and to one's own self as well, to professionally develop, to professionally upgrade them and be a lifelong learner. That's a very important practice. Suppose if a school leader attends some workshop, some program, he or she, when he or she reaches back to his or her school, must do a staff meeting and must share whatever the learnings were from the workshop or from the program. That is also part of professional development. And now NEP 2020 also talks about continuous professional development. A school leader also has to be a problem solver for teachers actually. He or she must be able to solve problems in relation to there any administrative delays, any financial delays that are there, if any, and any other academic processes as well. If a school leader is facing some problem, he or she must act as a problem solver for the teacher. And the very crucial part, so as to motivate and promote well-being among teachers, is recognizing, appreciating and rewarding the accomplishments of teachers as well as students. A school leader must truly recognize whatever small initiative or accomplishment a teacher or a student has made. He or she must recognize, appreciate and reward that accomplishment. That's very important. And rather all these practices, there are various researches that talk about if a school leader practices all these competencies, and all these practices are displayed by the school leader, that greatly influences teachers' well-being, and that enhances their proficiency and productivity in the classrooms. So they will be more motivated, they will be very committed to the school as well as the classrooms. They will be very satisfied with their workplace then. And satisfaction, in addition to feeling and how we do, satisfaction with the workplace is also very important.
Very important.
So
right.
satisfaction will be there, and they will be able to lead the classroom processes. So that's very important. These were few leadership practices that we talked about here.
Yeah, so as Dr. Shadma discussed with us about the leadership practices for enhancing the teacher well-being or a school leader's well-being, coming to the point of student well-being, there are few of the practices which are listed here, which are very, very generic in nature but very difficult to practice in a real sense. If we actually achieve a few out of them, we can be able to build in a very well-off student culture. Talking about by creating supportive relationships actually with the students, by creating a stable and supportive environment, and promoting life skill education. In 21st century, we are living in 21st century, we have different set of 21st century skills. Now the skills are being very dynamic in nature. We are very deep rooted to the traditional notions. No, we are not. We are dynamic in the contemporary scenario. We are dwelling ourselves, we are developing ourselves day by day, and so as are the skills are being developed in our students and in our teachers and in our school heads, school leaders also. So by promoting life skills education can be one of the ways to enhance the student well-being. Now, inculcating the mental health and well-being curriculum in the system, in the educational practices, can be one of the practice. And health and wellness clubs in the schools, by promoting health and wellness clubs in the schools, which talks about the health status of students, can be one of the most important strategy to achieve or contribute to students' well-being. Then looking at the learning mode centering pedagogy, how are students basically learning in our classrooms. Every child is mattering to us, every child matters, and every child is special. But we can see different IQs and EQs and SQs in our students. So there are different ways, different methods to deal with certain different lot of students. So that's what our educational system in the current NEP 2020 scenario basically deals about, that we have to be very particular when we are talking about inclusive education. We have to be particular in taking mental health and student well-being along with the inclusion concept. Apart from that, we have to deliver the student support services in our educational institutions, in our schools, to promote the student well-being. And creating a supportive learning environment. Our learning environment should be very conducive. It should not be like a child should feel like to go to school. उसे सुबह उठ के स्कूल जाने का मन होना चाहिए. That should be our basically the leadership, the role of school leader, to enhance the well-being of school students or the school teachers. True. Should be in such way that a teacher should be happy to go to that school to work, to enhance the workplace well-being and the social well-being of all the teachers in our education institutions. Apart from that, एक शिक्षक के अलावा एक विद्यार्थी का भी मन होना चाहिए कि वो अपने विद्यालय में जाए, उसे रुचि होनी चाहिए उस विद्यालय में जाने के लिए. It should be the purpose, sole purpose of our educational planning and policy at the national level or at the state level. It should reach to the classroom scenario, and such modalities should be adopted which can contribute to students' well-being in a longer sense, in a true sense. And inculcating innovative and inclusive strategies and teaching methods in our classrooms which can actually deliver or prosper the student well-being. And emphasis should be on physical and creative activities. We talked about backless education, we talked about happy Saturdays, we talked about happiness, we talked about so many other notions and concepts which are being delivered on day-to-day basis. Our school education in a real sense should foster happiness and well-being. The statistics, the data of 23% should be reduced by next year. That should be the goal of NIEPA. That should be the goal of all the national level educational institutions and the school leader, that percentage should actually deep down. It should decrease, or I wish there comes a time that it reaches zero. But that's a very
But we all are humans, and
right.
we
That's
will
a very
have
hypothetical concept. We are
all
very
have
dynamic.
stressors all
Right.
around, but we must know how can we sail through
Reduce,
it.
yes,
how
yes,
can we
yes.
sail through it and
Right.
look for the well-being from within and for the others.
Others, right. So apart from that, there should be psychological development, there should be intellectual development of students, and setting high academic standards, encouraging curriculum alignment. Our curriculum should align with what student well-being actually is in the real classroom. बच्चे की interest और need के हिसाब से curriculum हो. That will enhance the student well-being. It should not be like we are projecting or moving towards a type of system where the curriculum is not relating to the real life situations, and it provides additional opportunities to overcome children and the stress and depression and anxiety among our students. And by detecting preliminary signs of mental health problems in the schools, the student well-being can be achieved. We can say that we are moving towards the goal of achieving student well-being, or our classes are happy classes, our students are happy. There are less anxiety in our students, there is less percentage of depression in our students, and as a school leader is first stage counselor, so we should direct the policies and practices into the classrooms. We should have those interventions in the classrooms which basically solves the problems and issues and challenges which are being faced by students as a whole. So that's what the student well-being is all about, socio-emotional skills.
Yes, ma'am. And
Right.
you know what? I was continuously listening to both of you, and I must say it was literally a very fruitful information and session. But here I would also like to add, like, what message do both of you want to give to our school leaders? So could you please give 2 points on that?
The last message that
Yes.
as a center we would like to give is like, well-being becomes a central agenda for promoting school effectiveness and in school improvement. In the overarching framework of leadership, we see well-being has a very central and a pivotal role. Also, how can we promote well-being is the 3 key words that I said earlier as well. The 3 key points rather is by regulating emotion. One must be able to regulate emotions, one must have resilience, and one must be able to maintain the energy levels that are important for the well-being. That is very, very important. And well-being is very subjective. It differs from person to person and from context to context.
Exactly.
It is basically emerging out of our thoughts, our actions, our experiences. So whatever we feel, whatever we think, whatever we do, it reflects upon in our personalities and the aura we create.
And these two
Right.
terms are very crucial for all the school stakeholders, we can say school leaders as well.
course,
Right, right.
So, all right, dear all viewers, so in today's session, we came to know more about that what exactly leadership and well-being in context of school education. And yes, effective leadership and well-being in schools foster a positive learning environment, promoting academic success and student growth, and school leader is a very crucial part of our environment, as Shadma and Tripti ma'am already said to us. So here I would like to wrap up this session as we are left with a very limited time, so it's time to thank our experts for now. So firstly I would like to thank Shadma ma'am for joining us today.
Thank you
so much,
thank
ma'am.
you, Shivani.
And yes, also thank you so much, Tripti ma'am,
Thank
for
you.
joining
Thank you,
us today.
Shivani. Thank you.
And along with this, I would also like to thank all our viewers who joined us till last. And before I leave, here's two very important information for all of you. First one is regarding Balpan ki Kavita. So have a look on your screen.
क्या आपको भी गीत कविता पढ़ने लिखने और गाने गुनगुनाने में रुचि है? तो आइए शिक्षा मंत्रालय भारत सरकार की एक अनूठी और सराहनीय पहल का हिस्सा बने तथा भारतीय भाषाओं और अंग्रेजी में लोकगीत और कविताएं भेजें। आप दिए गए लिंक पर अपनी रचनाएं अथवा किसी अन्य रचनाकार के गीत और कविताएं भेज सकते हैं। भारतीय भाषा कविता प्रतियोगिता के नियम आदि भी आपको इसी लिंक पर उपलब्ध होंगे।
Alright, we will wish you all the very best for this competition. हम सभी चाहते हैं इसमें आप सभी ज़रूर हिस्सा लें. And the second information for all of you is the new NCERT textbook for class 4th and 7th are now available on Flipkart, Amazon and also on our NCERT official website. And before I leave here, please have a look on your screen for our upcoming programs for tomorrow. So tomorrow at 8 AM you can join us on channel number 6 to 12 for our yoga session, and your topic for tomorrow will be yoga for improving thyroid. And after that, followed by 2 PM you can also join us on channel number 11 for the subject entrepreneurship, and topic for tomorrow will be startup life cycle. And followed by 3 PM you can also connect with us on channel number 12 for the subject business studies, and topic for tomorrow will be basic concepts of management. So here I would like to wrap up this session, and once again I would like to thank you all our viewers, and also namaskar.